Hi everyone. So this is Mr. Lara, your instructor for statistics and probability. We're going to discuss about random variables. So this is the introduction on the said subject to all grade 11 students out there. So, ano pa inaantay natin guys? Samahan nyo ako. Tara! So, as a learning outcomes, at the end of this video, you as a learner will be able to describe experiment, sample space, sample points, and event. Distinguishes between discrete and continuous variable, and finds the possible values of a random variable.
Minsan ba natanong niyo na sa sarili niyo yung mga ganitong uri ng tanong? How old are the people living in Quezon City? What is the likelihood that we will have at least 7 customers in our cafeteria tomorrow? Who is the third player in NBA scoring leaderboards? Kung mahilig ka sa sports. What is the probability that two heads will occur after tossing a coin 3 times? Yung tipong ganyan. Watch. What score should I get in order for me to maintain a 98.97 general weighted average? Diba? Then, what percentage of chance that I will commit a 2 typos per page in this module? Yung mga ganyang uri ng tanong, may mga makakasagot sa atin dyan. Okay? Yung first 3 sa kaliwa, ay masasagot tayo ng statistics. Then, yung tatlo sa bandang kanan ay probability. Ano ba pinagkaiba ng dalawa? When you say statistics, this is one of the field of mathematics that deals with collecting, organizing, interpreting, summarizing, and presenting data. Okay? Simply data ang pinaka-importanting word in terms of statistics. Kung walang data, hindi gagana tong subject na to. Okay? Sa probability naman, it's the field of mathematics that focuses on how often some event will happen after many repeated trials. Kumbaga, dito mo madedetermine kung gaano ba kataas or kababa yung chance na mangyayari yung isang particular na event. Ay, probability yung makasagot dun.
Mga kapatid, siguro naman naranasan nyo na tawagin kayo ng inyong kakilala sa inyong pangalan. Mapabilang sa isang section ng inyong kursong kinuha o di naman kaya ayang mangutang. Lahat ng yan mga kapatid ay may pagkakahalin tulad. Halimbawa, ang pangalan mo ay John. Sabi ng kaibigan mo, "Uy John, tara gala tayo." Sumagot ka, "Pinagsasayang ako eh." "Ikaw na lang muna." Bakit ka nag-react sa kanya? Yun ay dahil ang pangalang John ay nagtataglay ng value, which is ikaw. Isa pang halimbawa niyan, bilang isang freshman, napabilang ka sa section 4 ng isang klase sa engineering course. May anunsyo sa isang malayang paskilan na lahat ng engineering 1-4 ay nakaschedule sa pagpapa-ID sa Lunes. Na-trigger ka. Dahil may value ang section na yun, which is kayo. Nangutang ka ng 50,000 sa kaibigan mo pambili ng laptop. Ngayon, sinisingil ka na niya kasi malaki-laki ang halaga ng inutang mo. Ano yung halaga? 50,000. Lahat ng yan ay mahahalin tulad natin sa tinatawag na variable. Ang variable ay isinusulat natin bilang isang letra na kung saan may tinataglay na values. Ang values ay pwedeng mga salita or pwede din namang mga numero. At syempre nandoon pa din yung fact na pwede natin sila masukat o mabilang. Ang variable ay pwede natin mahati sa dalawa. Meron tayong tinatawag na qualitative at meron din naman tayong quantitative. Isa-isay natin itong dalawang to mga classmates. Qualitative variable is descriptive information. It describes something. Halimbawa, yung pangalan, yung section, ay mga qualitative yan mga classmates dahil in terms of words. Magtataka kayo, ang engineering 1-4, ang 1-4 ay not totally a number. It is just a distinction na kung saan ipapangalan natin sa isang room para hindi malito ang mga estudyante. Pangalan lang sila. For label. Okay. Ano pa halimbawa ng mga qualitative? Ang kulay ng ballpen, religion, civil status, at marami pa pong iba. Meron din naman tayong tinatawag na quantitative. Ang quantitative ay mga numerical information, katulad ng numbers. Dito sa statistics, magpo-focus po tayo sa quantitative variables. And under this kind of variable, ay pwede rin nating mahati pa into two parts. Meron tayong discrete and continuous. Anong pinagkaiba nila? Discrete variable, those are data which are countable. Most of them ay mga whole numbers. But it is not always or it's not necessarily whole numbers lamang. Later on, pwede tayo magbigay ng mga example na may mga decimals na kung saan discrete pa rin po siyang maituturing. Okay? So, ang mahalagang salita sa discrete ay countable, nabibilang or nalilista. Okay? Pag sinabi naman natin continuous, ito yung mga values or data na tuloy-tuloy. Kaya nga, continuous. Here, instead na countable, we use the word measurable. In terms of real numbers, ang ating binabanggit kapag continuous ang ating variable. Okay? Mine-measure natin sila. Tulad ng weight, ng height, ng time, and so on. It can be finite in number of possible values, finitely many, or countably infinite. Okay. Halimbawa, kayo bilang ng inyong klase, okay, 50 students kayo sa inyong section, so kayang-kaya kayong bilangin. Okay? So, ang isang tao ay katumbas ng isang buong bilang. So, meron tayong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 50. Nabibilang kayo, guys. So, yun yung sinasabing finite in number of possible values. Sometimes, finitely many. Sabihin, sobrang dami, pero may hangganan, katulad ng population ng PUP students. Let's say sa PUP main hanggang PUP branches, no? Even though sobrang dami nila, still may hangganan sila. That's why finitely many. And at the same time, nabibilang. Pwede rin namang discrete yung mga countably infinite, such as whole numbers, diba? The set of all positive integers. Okay. Nabibilang natin pero hindi natin alam kung hanggang saan sila matatapos. Okay? So, countably infinite. Not necessarily whole numbers only. It may involve decimals as long as it is countable. Okay? Ang discrete hindi lang nabubuhay sa mga positive integers or negative integers or even whole numbers. Okay? Pwede rin naman mga decimals. Okay? As long as nabibilang sila. Halimbawa po yung mga grade sa college. Okay? Pwede natin yun i-consider as discrete na tipong nalilista natin. Halimbawa, may grade tayo yung tipong pasang-awa, 3. Okay. Meron tayong grade na 2.75. Okay. May grade na 2.5. May grade na 2.25. May grade na 2. Meron tayong 1.75. San, matutuwa ka kapag nakakating ka na ng 1.5, 1.25, at yung mga estudyante na pinagpupuyatan o pinagsusunugan ng kilay itong grade na to. Uno. Okay. So, lahat ng yan, okay, ay mga example ng discrete na kung saan decimal po sila. Okay? Nalilista pa rin po natin. Okay? At nabibilang. Halimbawa, ito, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ayan ganun. Finite. Okay?
When your data involves decimals and provided na may measure po natin yung variable, we can count that as continuous. Okay? So let's say meron tayong two given numbers, okay? 0 and 1. Lagi natin tatandaan sa continuous, lahat ng numbers between 0 and 1 ay damay. Okay? Walang matitira ni isa. Tuloy-tuloy ang galawan from 0 and 1. Walang nilalaktawan unlike sa discrete. Okay? So, tuloy-tuloy lang yan. All real numbers ay involved when we say continuous. Okay? Depende sa restriction or sa domain na kinukuha natin once na nagkakount na tayo ng probability on the other topic. Okay? So, that's continuous. Infinite number of values between any two values and an uncountable real number values. Okay? So, para mas maunawa natin ng husto, pwede natin siyang lagyan ng illustration. Nakikita nyo yung x-axis natin, meron tayong 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and so on. Okay? So, hindi lang yun yung numbers na pwede nating makita. If we will try to zoom our partition plane, so zoom natin yan, makikita nyo yung 0.5 at 1, nagkaroon ng another value which is 0.75. If we try to zoom once again, mapapansin nyo na may mga numbers pang involved. Okay? Mayroon tayong nakitang 0.96, 1.08, 1.075, 1.08. Marami pa tayong mga numbers na pwedeng makita, ngunit hindi lang natin napapansin. Okay? So, ayun po kapag continuous. Experiment. Ay, experiment, hindi ito yung term na ginagamit para makaimbento ka ng isang bagay or hindi ito yung naghahalo ka ng chemical, di ba? When you say experiment in statistics, it is a procedure that generates a set of data. Okay. A very simple example of statistical experiment might be the tossing of a coin, throwing a dice, and a card draw. Okay. Ito yung mga pinaka simpleng paraan para mapaunawa kung ano nga ba ang konsepto ng experiment or gaano ba siya kahalaga sa probability. Okay. Next, we have a sample space. It is the set of all possible outcomes of the experiment, okay, written either in roster or rule method. It is denoted by capital S. Each element of capital S is called sample point. Okay? So, syempre, kapag may experiment ka, gaya nga ng sinasabi sa definition, procedure that generates a set of data. Okay? And then, yung set of data na na-generate, ang tawag po doon ay sample space. Halimbawa, when you toss a coin or when you flip a coin, let's say isang beses lang, the possible outcome, either head or tail. Okay? And isusulat mo siya tulad ng ganyan in terms of roster method, enclosed by braces, separated by commas, then ang label niya is capital S. Okay? Throwing a die, when nag-throw ka ng die ng isang beses, the possible outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? Then, yung bawat isang miyembro or object sa loob ng set na yan, or ng sample space na yan, ang tawag po sa kanila ay sample point. Okay? And then, pwede mo siyang isulat sa ibang pamamaraan. Pwedeng mauna si 3, si 5, 1. Wala namang kaso, hindi siya in order. Okay? Then, in card draw, ang possible outcomes, excluding the jokers, pwede ka makakuha ng King of Spades, Queen of Hearts, Jack of Clovers, all the way up to Ace of Diamonds, let's say, no? So, since hindi mo kaya isulat lahat ng 52 outcomes na yon or sample points na yon, maglagay na lang tayo ng ellipsis, no? And then, last element to indicate finite po yung laman ng ating set. Let's have some examples. Example 1. An experiment is flipping a coin 2 times. Determine its sample space. Okay? For our solution, let's say we have a coin toss. This is our experiment, no? So, sabi natin, sa experiment, magge-generate ka ng sample space. So, ano ba ang possible sample space natin? Sabi sa ating example, flipping a coin 2 times. So, first toss, okay, pwede ka makakuha ng head, na tatawagin nating H, at tail, na i-denote natin as capital T. Okay? That is the first toss. On the second toss, okay, kung head ang nakuha mo sa first toss, sa second toss, pwede ka makakuha either H or T ulit. Okay? At kung T ang nakuha mo sa first toss, on the second toss, pwede ka makakuha ng H o kaya T na naman. Okay? Ngayon, to determine the outcome, makikita lang po natin dito na pwedeng makuha yung outcome na HH, okay? HH, HT, TH, and double T. So that means heads, heads, head, tail, tail heads, and tails, tails. Now, para masulat yung sample space, ang gagawin mo lang is to write this in terms of roster method. Sabi natin, dinedenote natin yung sample space as capital S, then equal, enclose with braces, yung HH, HT, TH, and double T. Separated by commas. Okay? Ito na yung ating sample space. Now, pwede mo rin naman siyang i-illustrate na kung saan nasa ganyang manner naman. Okay? Ang tawag po dyan ay tree diagram. Ginagamit po natin ang tree diagram upang hindi po tayo ma-confuse sa pag-determine ng sample space sa isang given na experiment. Suppose that 3 laptops are selected at random from a manufacturing process. Each item is inspected and classified defective, capital D, or non-defective, capital N. Determine its sample space. Okay? For our solution, our experiment is selecting laptops at random. Okay? So, 3 beses tayo mamimili ng laptop. Hindi natin alam kung sino ang defective or kung sino ang non-defective. Wala tayong malay po kung sino po sa kanila ang nagtataglay nito. Okay? Now, at first selection, pwede ka makakuha ng defective, pwede ka rin naman makakuha ng non-defective. Okay? On the second selection, kung defective ang nakuha mo sa first selection, sa second, pwede ka makakuha uli either D or capital N. Kung N ang nakuha sa first selection, sa second selection, pwede ka na naman makakuha either D or N. Pagpatuloy lang natin yan hanggang makakating po tayo sa third selection, DN, 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 DN. Same reasoning po. Okay? Now, ang possible outcomes sa 3 beses na pagpili ng laptop ay DDD, which is 3 defective, DDN, DND, DNN, NDD, NDN, NND, and triple N, or 3 po ang walang depekto. Okay? Now, the sample space is S equals, then lahat po ng nabanggit kong 8 na sample points ay ikukulong lang natin sa braces and separated by commas. Then, we're done. For our next example, before a boxing battle, each fighters must undergo to a box weighing in order to determine if they are fit to box inside the ring. A featherweight division has a requirement that each boxers must weigh between 122 to 126. Otherwise, they're not qualified to battle. Determine the sample space for the weight of boxers in featherweight division. Okay, kung ikaw ay featherweight class, dapat naglalaro lang ang timbang mo between 122 hanggang 126 pounds. So ngayon, kung ikaw ay titimbangin na, ano yung mga possible outcomes or possible weight na pwedeng mag-reflect sa'yo? Okay? Now, as a solution, let X be the weight of a boxer in the featherweight class. Okay? Hindi natin alam kung sino si X. Pwedeng 123.5, pwedeng 123.05. Basta nasa loob siya nung dalawang given numbers, 122 and 126. Okay? Since the requirement for this division is between 122 to 126, kaya sabi ko po kanina, the sample space should be S equals X such that X is greater than or equal to 122 pounds but less than or equal to 126 pounds. So ngayon, hindi natin pwedeng malista lahat ng mga possible outcomes sa loob ng sample space. Kaya, hindi uubra si roster method sa ating solution. So, instead, we use rule method or set builder notation para maisulat natin yung angkop na sample space sa given experiment. So, ito na. We're done. Example 4. Cows don't know how to stop producing or giving a fresh milk. Sometimes, a cow do not produce a milk. Sometimes, pwede kanyang bigyan ng milk na 4.23 gallons, 12.7 gallons, and so on. What's the sample space? Okay. Now, let M be the amount of milk obtained from a cow. Okay. Since there were times that cows do not produce a milk, and we do not know the specific gallons we can collect, kung meron man, sinasabi lang, hindi natin alam kung ano yung variable M, yung exact value po niya. Okay. The appropriate sample space on this scenario is M such that M is greater than or equal to 0 gallons. M is greater than 0, that means may pinroduce yung baka, pero hindi natin alam yung eksaktong pwede niyang ibigay. Okay? Kaya wala pong boundary na nakaset. Okay. M is equal to 0, ibig sabihin, wala. As in, wala pong binigay na gatas yung baka on that specific time. In an experiment, we may be interested in occurrence of certain part of the sample space. For instance, we might be interested only for an even numbers as an outcome in throwing a dice and an outcome which is divisible by 3. We can write this in set notation as E equals 246 or pwede naman T equals 3, 6 respectively. Okay. The sets E and T are called events. So, if we will try to construct a Venn diagram, ang S ay yung sample space na nagtataglay ng 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sa experiment na pagtuthrow ng die isang beses. Then, yung event na kung saan part lang siya ng sample space. Okay? 2, 4, 6. Yung event, siya yung ito yung bagay sa loob ng sample space na interesado kang mangyari. Okay. Tatawagin natin siyang capital E. S, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Para naman sa event na gusto mong mangyari ay divisible by 3. Okay. Outcome na divisible by 3. So, sino lang naman po sila? Si 3 and si 6. At tatawagin natin siyang capital T. Okay? So, definition, ang event ay subset ng sample space. Okay. Ang event ay mas maliit kumpara sa sample space. Pero may mga time naman po na ang event ay kasing laki lang din po ng sample space. On that case, ang event po natin ay equal sa sample space. Pero never mangyayari na mas malaki ang event sa sample space. Okay mga classmates, nasa posisyon na tayo para i-define si random variable. As a definition, random variable is a variable denoted by capital X whose values small x depend on outcomes of random phenomena or experiment. Okay? From the word itself, random, that means wala tayong control sa mga possible sample points na lumabas. Ay hindi natin sila sasadyain, random silang mag-o-occur. Okay? Here in random variable, meron tayong dalawang letter. Meron tayong dalawang uri ng letter. May capital, may small. Kapag nag-set ka ng capital, let's say X, dapat meron kang small x. Pwede rin namang capital Y. Pero, ang partner niya, small y. Okay? Para lang hindi tayo malito, for convenience. Okay? Kung meron kang capital X, let's say, yung capital X is a random variable na nagde-describe ng gusto mong mangyari sa isang particular experiment. Then, meron siyang value. Ang tawag doon ay possible values na i-denote natin as small letter x. So, let's say this is the first possible value. Ito yung susunod na possible value. Then, ito yung third possible value, x sub 3. This is x sub 2, okay? Bigay tayo ng example. Let x be a random variable whose value is the number of heads. Kung maalala nyo sa coin flip, nag-toss ka ng coin 2 times, ang gusto mo mangyari ay mag-occur yung heads. Okay? Number of heads, yan po yung nagde-describe sa random variable capital X na sinet natin. Okay? Ito yung gusto mo, ito yung desire mong mangyari. Number of heads. Okay. As a sample space, meron tayong HH, HT, TH, and double T. Okay? Kung meron kang capital X na sinet, obviously dapat meron kang small x, which is yung possible values. Ngayon, kung number of heads ang pakay natin, sa HH, ilan ang heads? Obviously, dalawa. Kaya, ang possible value ay 2. Okay? Next, HT. Bakit HT? Isa yun sa sample points natin. And meron tayong corresponded na possible value, which is 1. Bakit 1? Dahil isa lang ang H dito. Dito pala, kaya 2 dahil dalawa ang H. Then, sa TH, syempre, isa lang din ulit. Dahil meron tayong isang head. Then, walang head sa double T, kaya ito ay magiging 0. So, in general, capital X is equal to 0, 1, and 2. Ito po yung random variable, then ito po yung ating possible values. Okay? Si x sub 1 pwedeng kumatawan sa 0, si x sub 2 pwedeng kumatawan sa 1, then si x sub 3, siya naman po yung nagre-represent ng 2. Okay po. Bigyan tayong example. Sa example 1 natin, if we are interested for the number of at least 1 heads to occur, no? At least 1. So guys, pag sinabi mong at least 1, pwedeng exactly 1 or pwedeng higit sa 1. Okay? Kung higit ka sa 1, ang possible value lang nun ay 2. Bakit? Dahil wala naman po tayong 3. Kasi hindi naman tayo 3 times nag-toss, di ba? So 3 onwards, hindi yan yung magiging possible value kung higit po sa 1. Kung S, ang sample space ay H, 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 T, TH, and double T, since at least 1 heads, kukunin lang natin yung color yellow. Okay? Tawagin natin tong E sub 1 or the first event. So, mangyayari, meron tayong E sub 1 equals H, 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 T, and TH. Now, in terms of Venn diagram, yung color yellow is the entire sample space and color green, siya yung nagre-represent ng ating first event. Okay. In example 1 again, if we are interested for the number of exactly 2 heads, okay, 2 heads to occur. Okay. Ito yung ating sample space. Interesado lang tayo sa 2 heads. Kaya, ang magiging event natin, tatawagin nating E sub 2. Ang kanyang laman lang ay HH. Okay? So, in terms of Venn diagram, ito naman po ang kanyang itsura. In example 1, if we are interested for the number of exactly one head to occur, meron tayong dalawa, HT and TH. Tawagin natin siyang third event, E sub 3. We have E sub 3 equals HT and TH. In terms of Venn diagram, ito naman po ang kanyang magiging itsura. Okay? Parang ang sinasabi lang po nito is that kapag may experiment ka, makakapag-generate ka ng sample space. Okay? Pag may sample space ka na, pwede kang mag-set ng random variable mo. At kung may random variable ka na, kaya mo nang ma-determine si event. If we are interested for the number of non-defective laptops under example 2, find its possible values. Okay? So, ito lang ang ating pakay ngayon. Number of non-defective laptops. Okay? So, ngayon, ang mangyayari niyan, yung random variable, let's say capital Y, okay, dapat ay may tinataglay na values which is small y. Pwedeng first y, first possible value, this is second possible value, this is the third possible value, this is the fourth possible value, and so on. Okay. For solution, recall the sample space of selecting 3 laptops at random in manufacturing process. Pwede silang i-classify either D, defective, non-defective, capital N. So, this is the sample space. Pagmasdan natin yung sample points. Gaya ng sabi natin kanina, sinet nating random variable ay capital Y. Non-defective, number of non-defective laptops. Ang DDD ay walang non-defective. Kaya, ito ay may possible value na 0. DDN, may isang non-defective, kaya ang possible value ay 1. 1 non-defective, so 1. 2 non-defectives, we have possible value 2. 1 non-defective, 1, 2, 2, and 3. Okay. Ang ibig sabihin po niyan, ang possible values po natin ay 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Or pwede natin siyang isulat as y equals 0, 1, 2, and 3. So, ito po yung nagre-represent ng ating first possible value. Ito po si second possible value. Third possible value. Then, this is the last possible value. Okay? And we are done. Sa pamamagitan ng mga examples na ibinigay natin kanina mga classmate ay makakapag-arrive na tayo sa panibagong definition which is discrete random variable. Here, the outcome is said to be discrete random variable if the experiment has only countable or countably infinite number of outcomes. No other outcomes exist between two consecutive outcomes. Gaya po ng mga examples natin kanina, si flipping of coin 2 times, or kahit 1 time pa man po yan, 3 times, and then pag-select ng laptop, kung yan ba ay defective or non-defective, sila po ay humihilera under discrete random variable. And continuous, random variable naman po, ay mga uncountably infinite number of possible outcomes within a specified real number interval. Okay? Ang example natin kanina dito ay yung box weighing and then po yung pagkuha ng milk sa mga baka. Okay? Yan po ay mga continuous random variable. as a summary, we have variable. A variable is any letters or symbols na nagre-represent ng mga values. Ang variable ay pwedeng qualitative and quantitative. Okay? Under qualitative, those are data or values na in terms of words. Quantitative are numerical values. Okay? Under quantitative, we have discrete and continuous. Pag discrete, countable. Pag continuous, measurable. Okay? Now, we have also experiment. Experiment ay nagko-consist ng mga pag-toss ng coin, pag-flip ng coin, pag-draw ng mga playing cards, or even throwing a dice is example of experiment. And then, kada may experiment ka, nag-generate siya ng sample space. Okay? Ang sample space ay naisusulat either in roster method kung discrete at rule method kung continuous. Sample space ay nagko-contain ng mga sample points. Ang tawag sa isang object or sa isang element under sample space ay sample point. Now, kapag ikaw ay nagkaroon ng desired outcome or yung interest mo sa isang specific experiment, tatawagin natin siyang random variable, let's say capital X, and this is your interest. Okay, ito yung pakay natin. Then, kung meron kang capital X, meron kang small x, siya naman yung mga possible value na kung saan ito ang tutulong sa atin para ma-determine yung event. Which is, ang event ay subset lang po ng sample space, meaning part lang siya ng sample space. Kung ang event ay kasing laki ng sample space, that means event is equal to sample space. I think ito na po yung aking last slide. Kung kayo po ay natuto or may natutunan po, makiki-like and makiki-subscribe na lang po ng ating channel. Pakiabangan na lang din po yung next video ko po about sa pagkuha ng probability ng mga discrete random variables and how to construct probability histogram and probability mass function. Yun lang po mga classmates, maraming salamat po sa inyo.